Hey, it's Rob Weinberg, and on this channel, we empower people to take control of their futures through expert mortgage, financial, and real estate strategies. If it's your first time watching, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also get notified on all the future content we're putting out every single week. In our whiteboard lesson today, we're going to be talking about buying a home from a family member or a family home purchase. This is a really opportune topic because due to the low inventory in many areas of the country, a lot of people are looking to buy homes from family members rather than go out on the open market where it's so competitive right now. But it's important you realize that buying a home from a family member is very different from buying a home in the regular real estate market. So we'll talk about some of the unique aspects and the differences here to get this lesson started. With a family home purchase, you're gonna have a personal connection to the property, whether it's a property you've just been visiting for the last couple of years, or if it's a family or a generational property that's been passed down, maybe you even grew up in the home. So there's a personal connection and there's a familiarity with the property. You know all the nooks and crannies, you know the backyard, you know the whole neighborhood and everything because you've spent a lot of time there, a lot more time than the average home. So the next thing here regarding the unique aspects is going to be the flexible negotiation. With a normal property purchase, especially in today's market where it's very competitive, there's a lot more flexibility you're going to get buying a home from a family member because they're not necessarily looking to maximize every dollar. They also might be willing, and many times are, to help pay for your down payment, your closing costs, or all of it to where you may not need to put any or a very small amount of money in a transaction. And that almost all cases is only possible in the family home purchase. There's a legacy and a continuity also with the property. So that can, again, create that emotional attachment. You want to buy a property and keep it in the family, especially if there's been a lot of milestones and a lot of memories that you and your loved ones have had in that property. So there's some unique aspects. Now, some differences between a family home purchase and a regular home purchase. Well, in a family home purchase, there's never a realtor involved because you already know who the buyer is. So that's going to save the seller a significant amount of money that they can, again, go back and give to you as the buyer towards down payment, closing costs, or both in a lot of cases. There's also no marketing or advertising needed, so it's much quicker kind of from start to finish to hit the ground running and get the deal closed. A lot of times these family home purchases can be done in less than 30 days. So very fast transaction time and less parties involved, which is great. Now, it's important when we're talking about family homes that we talk about emotions because there's a lot of emotions involved. And I think we all have family members that get really emotional or some parts of the family that are difficult to deal with more than others. So that's all things that you want to take into consideration when you're buying a family home is understanding the emotions that are involved. You want to keep an open line of communication to avoid misunderstandings. Like any real estate transaction, there are speed bumps, there are hiccups that are going to occur. You need to be ready for those and be able to communicate clearly to keep the process moving. You want to separate your emotions from financial decisions because a lot of times if you make decisions emotionally, you're going to make a short-sighted and a bad financial move. So you want to step back, get someone to help you, ideally like a financial advisor or someone that understands your personal circumstance, and then make a good financial move from there. So detach from the emotion. You also ideally want to get a neutral third party involved because there's not going to be a realtor in most cases. You need somebody that's going to be neutral to help with that back and forth, that communication. In a lot of cases, it's going to end up being a family friend. In other cases, it could end up being a real estate attorney, as we'll talk about, to help, again, bridge that gap of communication, which can sometimes be difficult with those family dynamics. Now, you would expect buying a home from a family member is going to have some pitfalls. It's going to have some challenges that are completely different than buying a home on the open market. So the main pitfall that I see with these family home purchases is documentation. A lot of family, especially the older generation, they are looking to do things on a handshake and a discussion. But unfortunately, in real estate and in mortgage, you have to have it in writing. And that's the number one thing. You got to make sure you get the agreement in writing, get all the proper documentation. So if something comes up, you can avoid legal issues and things are clear and concise. You want to avoid assumptions about the property condition as well as the value. Just because you've been in the home a lot doesn't mean you know all of the ins and outs of the condition. So I do highly recommend getting a home inspection. It's worth the money you'll pay to know the type of property you're buying and any potential issues or condition problem that need to be addressed. Appraisal. You might think you know what it's worth, or they tell you, the seller, your family tells you, oh, it's worth $500,000, but is it really? And do you want to make a big financial move just based on a discussion or hearsay? No. If you're getting a mortgage, the mortgage company almost always is going to require a full appraisal of the property. And even if you're not getting a mortgage and you're buying cash or through a different means, I would still recommend getting a unbiased third-party appraiser to come and appraise the home. In the case of a mortgage, your lender will work with you to get that appraisal done. And the other pitfall and challenge you want to be aware of is balancing financial fairness with family dynamics. So it's not a given or a guarantee that you're going to buy a house with no money out of pocket just because you're buying from family. And it's also not a guarantee that you're gonna get a certain price on the property just because you're buying from family. I've seen both ends where people are buying it for way less than market value, and I've seen other times where the family really needs money and they're selling it for market, sometimes even a little bit over market price, believe it or not. So you really want to balance that financial fairness, and that third-party negotiation or third party that can help you facilitate the communication can really get you through to making that final price and actual terms of the agreement a lot more favorable for everyone involved. Now, the paperwork, as we were discussing, is really important. So as far as legalities and paperwork, what I recommend is that you get a legally binding contract in writing to ensure that there's no misunderstanding. So you want to do this with a real estate attorney. Generally, it would start with a realtor, but in this case, buying from family, you're really going to be relying on a real estate attorney. I don't recommend doing it on your own. There's just too much that could go wrong if you have something missing or omitted from a contract. So definitely consult with a real estate attorney to create a clear and binding agreement and include all relevant details that are going to protect both sides of the transaction, both the buyer and the seller. Because again, there's no realtor on both ends to help protect or negotiate. So that real estate attorney is really going to be the liaison, and make sure it's somebody that both the buyer and the seller trust, understand, and are clear with. Last thing I want to discuss here are the top tips for buying a home from a family member. I've done this dozens of times over the last couple of years, so I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to buying family homes. And I can tell you the top tips here. Number one, you want to get pre-approved as early as possible. Don't wait till the last minute. I recommend anywhere from 2 to 6 months ahead of time that you speak with a mortgage lender to make sure you have all your ducks in a row. The worse off you are, the more financial issue you might have with your income, your credit, etc., the earlier you want to meet with that mortgage advisor to get that game plan together. And the advice that I have here is, again, to use that third party. If your family is difficult, especially, get a third party involved, an unbiased person that can really help bridge that gap of communication in a family transaction, especially if there's difficult personalities. That can be the difference between failure and success. So I hope this has given you a good primer on buying a home from family member. If you found value in our lesson today, go ahead and share this with somebody else that may also like it, and comment, share, just let us know what you're looking for so we can put out great new videos to give you all the value possible. If you are someone that's looking to buy a home from a family member, I do offer one-on-one personal consultation so I can help you put that game plan together. You can reach me by call, text, or private message at 860-413-3938 or online at robgw.com. As always, I hope that helps, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care now.